He's got so tall. Hello. We are here in my office talking to Andre. It's him, who is actually my partner, and this is the first episode of my new series called Finding Purpose.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! And the first person I thought I'd interview would be you.
Thanks for having me on
That's okay.
your sofa.
On Sofa Chats. So the reason I wanted to speak to Andre today is because he is the most magnificent person I know, but he's also
biased.
he's also an extremely interesting person, very creative. We're very similar in that sense that we both like to try and live life to the fullest and live a really happy life. So I thought it would be interesting to interview you, because the whole point of this series is to find out what the word purpose is and how we all live our lives searching for happiness and maybe searching for your purpose. And I want to speak to people about what that means to them, essentially. So here we are drinking tea and coffee, and we're going to have a chat.
Let's go.
Let's go. So the first question I wanted to ask you is, what does purpose, or what does the word purpose mean to you?
God, it's difficult, isn't it? I think that like dictionary purpose or whatever is going to be a meaningful use, isn't it? I think that's probably how to define the word, but what it means to me as a person, I think it's got so many different facets to it, so many different parts to it. I guess there's my purpose, what purpose I play in the world for other people. But yeah, that's a really hard one. I guess it's a task. I'd see it as a task that almost you should be doing. I think that I don't like the word should, but
Why do you not like the word should?
Because it puts you in a box. Because everything's a choice, and I guess your purpose might feel a little bit less of a choice. For me, I think on a kind of deeper level, less of a choice. Things that I feel like, yeah, I should be doing with my life.
And when you say should be doing,
does that imply I'm not doing my purpose? Which is about right.
But what do you mean by that? Like, how do you know you should be doing this thing? What do you mean?
I have to go back to, there's so many different purposes. Like, I feel I've got purpose in job roles where, hey, this is literally what you're here to do, paid to do. Purpose within the family, as in what role I take up there. I guess some people might say their life's purpose are their kids or whatever, and I feel that, you know, I have a purpose within Marley's life, within my mum's life, within your life. Like you're definitely part of a purpose for me. Is making sure that my day is supporting people around me, which I guess is I see as a bit of a purpose. But then my own purpose is, which I think we've talked about lots of times, but you guys won't know, is something I feel I've kind of grown in, like a spiritual belief, to think that, I guess it's the why are we here feeling, and I'm not quite sure of that, but I do know what I feel I should be doing for my own personal purpose.
So do you want to, for your own personal purpose in your life, what is that, and are you doing it?
Okay, what it is, I really want to develop a symbol. I could go on for so long about it that I don't want to go too much into it, but part of the symbol really is being able to encourage people to have honest conversations, or to be able to walk into walk into a war zone. This is where it started, being able to walk into a war zone and communicate to someone without the use of language that I am here in peace, and that although I have a passport and apparently a government that represents me, that isn't me, and I'm just another human on the planet alongside them, and I'm here to cause as little negative impact on their physical, emotional or environmental health as possible. And so I'd really like to develop a symbol that's internationally recognised to mean that.
And what's the symbol?
This is the symbol. This is the hand symbol anyway, because I want it to be something that you can do without having to, without the use of language. There is a drawn symbol of a spiral with 3 lines, because I want something easy to replicate and draw. This means, okay.
We're getting into it now.
Getting into it. We're here, we're talking about purpose, and this is it for me. So this is energy, love, God, life, whatever you want. The only reason we know that exists is in our mind, in our emotional health. Our emotional health has to exist in a physical body. Our physical body has to exist in an environment. And so it's that to say no government represents me, no nation divides me. I respect your emotional, physical, environmental health. If I'm affecting those in a negative way, I'm open to an honest conversation about how we can come to a resolve. And the symbol is called resolve. And I think that could be something that could, if I follow my path, be spread around the world. And I've always said, because I don't want too much expectation, even on myself, is that if that just stops one argument in a street one day, then that's cool. That's as far as it needs to go. But really, I think it could make a big difference in a much bigger way. And I'm not saying it's the thing that's going to change the world. I just feel like it might be a seed of an idea that someone then can run with in future.
So, are you doing this at the minute?
Directly, no. And that's something I really struggle with when I'm feeling my life's got kind of not so much meaning going on, or I'm stressed, I'm doing all these tasks and I feel like I'm on the rat race wheel and I'm not actually getting to do that. I have done some stuff towards it.
Yeah.
And it's taken, like, for context, it's taken near on 20 years to get to the point where I'm confident enough to say what the symbol is, what it means, where I want it to go. And because it started 2004, I want to say, is it 2014? I don't know, that we marched, I think it must have been 2004, marched against bombing in Syria, and 2 million people marched and petitions were signed, and yet the government went ahead and bombed in Syria. And it was my way of saying, hey, I like to travel the world, and when I walk into Syria one day, I want to be able to say, it wasn't me, this isn't representative of me. And how do I do that without language is how it very first started, and it's kind of developed from there. And I'm not doing enough towards it because some of my other purposes get in the way. Like, I talked about parenting, talked about relationship purpose and job role, and so all those kind of purposes I'm very good at putting other people's needs before mine sometimes, and also there's a fear aspect of it, that, what if I feel that's my purpose, and what if I do it and it doesn't succeed? That would be really, really difficult. So
I think fear's a big thing. I feel like I can relate to that with, you could put it off, and what happens if you've built this thing up in your head and then it doesn't happen? And to be honest, I think that's kind of why I'm doing this whole series, is because I've been on a path for a while and my path's changed, and I thought the path I was on was going to be my path. So that's why I wanted to do this, because I think it's interesting to talk to people about their idea of what purpose is, and if they've got there, and if they haven't, what that will mean. So you said at the beginning that helping people is your purpose, and the symbol is helping people on maybe a larger scale. But your duties of home life and now kind of get in the way of that sometimes, which is also helping people on purpose. So it's hard. Do you just find it hard to juggle lots of things?
Yeah, I think there are limitations. That there's actually like time limitations. That's a challenge, and I think if you're really going forth in your purpose, for me there needs to be elements of like self-esteem and trust in yourself that you're ready to do that. But I guess I've really struggled along the way with, at points, feeling like I'm not getting on with that. And then I have to kind of forgive myself. That I think forgiveness with you not currently meeting your purpose, and a bit of trust in the process that it will come when the time's right. I'm not saying just like sit back and don't do anything about your purpose, but sometimes if you feel there's a block there, then maybe it's more important to deal with the block first, and then things will flow when the time comes. And that might sound a bit hippie, but I think that can be in a practical way as well as in like more of a spiritual way. I also think purpose needs to be quite adaptable. I think if I look back, hey, this wasn't the purpose that I knew when I was born, maybe. And along the way I've had lots of different things that I would think were my purpose.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Do you think, I know you said like your purpose at home, you've got multiple purposes, but they were kind of, when you talk about the symbol, that's like essentially could be your like full-time job. So do you feel like as a person you can have multiple purposes that aren't just, you know, your kids or things that you kind of do every day, like that meaningful thing that you wake up and think of? Do you think you can have multiple ones of them?
Yeah, I think that they're important on different levels. I guess there are purposes that going to work has a purpose because I want a certain lifestyle. And there are things that, I like to create, like building and all of that requires money, time, skills, tools, and space to do that. I guess as my core purpose, the symbol gets put aside as just, hey, that will, trust in the process, that will happen when it comes. But yeah, I think knowing that purpose can change. I think if I wake up and I have some sort of purpose, then it's a comfort. Maybe that's part of the element of fear that, if I go ahead and try and do that and that doesn't work out, there's 20 years of feeling like that's what I need to do with my life gone, and then what do I do? So I wonder whether, I've never thought about it like that, but I wonder whether some of the fear is actually reaching the goal of the purpose. It would be quite scary.
You also, I hope you don't mind me saying, but you said, like, obviously we're both sober, so that was a part of your journey with the symbol, and that you're currently sober, and do you want to maybe delve into that, because that seems like something that's been attached to the symbol of your thoughts recently?
Yeah, I think that for people to take me seriously, and I think it's a really serious thing, that sobriety helps. I think that a lot of my thoughts about the symbol in the past have, when I take time for myself and really look inwards, every time that's what I find. Now, it was often when I used drink or drugs that I would take time to look inwards, and so sometimes my thoughts on the symbol would be, I'd have to step away and think, hang on, is that drug related? Is that or is that practical in the real world? Am I just being a dreamer? And I think actually now, in a year plus of full-time sobriety, I think actually, no, it's totally realistic, and I can kind of differentiate between what was sensible thoughts and not.
So how do you manage not currently doing your purpose but carrying on with normal life without it bringing you down? How do you manage that?
I think that's where faith comes in. You know, I'm not a religious person as per se, but I do have my own forms of faith, and I think that, yeah, it's something that I feel is bigger than me by far, and that I can't just do on my own by being bull-nosed about it and just going at it. I think it wouldn't work. It wouldn't have the same authenticity as I want it to have. And so, yeah, there's a bit of just having faith and forgiveness of allowing time. I think that's something we talked about a few times, is something that's come with sobriety. And I don't know if anyone knows the 12-step program, but within that you're meant to talk about God, or a God of your understanding. And for me, that quite early doors became time, and I see time as like the greatest healer. It was here before and after everything, and it doesn't really exist, and yet it's the thing we spend our lives focused on. So being able to allow some time, and yeah, trusting that it will happen when it's meant to happen. And some purposes contradict each other. You know, I've talked about purpose as a parent, purpose as a lover, as an employee, and some of those contradict. Like we've talked that before, I really try and push the symbol that, well, you know, but you don't, that I wrote an autobiography because my concerns, another fear thing if the symbol was to take off, is that I will be torn to shreds in the public eye, because that seems to be what happens to people that try and change the rhetoric a bit, and that's fine. There's nothing in my life I'm not happy for people to know. Like I'm an open book, but by literally being an open book and saying, hey, here's all my deepest, darkest, that I can't have that thrown and used against me. Now, I also have a purpose of being a role model in Marley's life, in my son's life, and that contradicts a little bit for me, because I'm not ready for him to be facing some of the truths in that story. As I'm really open with him, but some of it's age inappropriate, you know, and I don't need him. I don't want his life suffering because of my personal needs. Like, hey, if I was not a parent and I didn't have other people's responsibilities, maybe I'd be further down the line with it. But
then it goes back to time again.
Time.
And really, I guess the older we get, the more we learn. Even in a year, you've done so much and changed so much and learnt new things about yourself. And it's like all these things. You're someone that's so good at developing and reflecting that I think even if there's more time until you do the symbol than you'd like you're only going to become a better person to be able to give the best out of what you've made in your head.
Yeah.
So, but what would be your advice to someone that is trying to find their purpose in their life and maybe feels empty and just doesn't really know what they're doing? What would be your advice?
It's a little bit hard, because I feel like that's been my underlying known soul purpose, I'm going to call it, for my purpose for so many years that I can't remember what that felt like. It's got to be a really tough place to be, because just on purpose quickly, when we've talked about in sobriety, I love festivals, absolutely love festivals, love going to festivals. Now, we've tried a few sober, and I find it much harder being there without a purpose. Now, my purpose used to be to go and party and have fun, and I now, to be able to be at the festival, I really want a job, or I'm there doing something, even if it was something fun. We were doing giving out compliments or anything that gave me a purpose in that space makes me feel more comfortable. So I really can understand if life is the festival and you haven't got a purpose within it, that can be really challenging. I think if it were me, I would look to take a back step and just find the things that make me happy, and stop pushing necessarily so hard to try and find a purpose, because I think actually I didn't try and find that purpose. That totally found me, and I know it's right because every time I look in, it just feels right. It's that gut feeling, you know. Originally should say you've got a head, heart, and a gut mind, and I think listening to the gut mind and just going, yeah, that is 100% for me, or I'm not sure that's for me. I think that's an important thing for purpose too, is that you can feel like it's your purpose for a certain amount of time, and then at the time it might just run out and you go, okay, that's not for me, and trusting the process to put it down. It's never gone, it's always part of your experience and can be picked back up. But to put it down, if you need, and just spend some time reconnecting with self, because I think that's where you find purpose, is finding out who you are, what makes you smile in the morning. I think those things. So I think at early doors, my purpose would have been helping other people, like you say. It was kind of grown into me, that if you spend your life helping other people, and my mum is an absolute angel and she spends her whole life helping other people, and I thought, you know, if I can do that for my whole life, I can settle at the end feeling really happy about it. And it wasn't until probably 30 that I started, having been a nurse and been helping people all my life, and actually much to my detriment sometimes, I've found that helping people just can create helplessness, and that there's balance in the world, and if you're always trying to be the helper, you don't give someone else the chance to be the helper, and it feels nice to be the helper. And now over time I realise it actually feels quite nice to be helped, and so I think, although you said part of the purpose is helping people, I think actually I've had to kind of grow away from that and realise that's not the sole thing. Whereas up to 30, I would have thought that was the best thing I could do. But yeah, back to the question is, I think to take time to be happy, be playful, get back to child, because we were so naturally ourselves as kids, and then we grow through life, when all these good and bad experiences happen, and they kind of mold where we are, like through society, through our relationships, through our own thoughts of what's right for us right now, and it can be overwhelming. There's so much information now, and so much expectation and pressure. So yeah, take the pressure off. That's my advice.
Just be you, boo.
Just be you, boo. They were not my words. I'm not being quoted on it, but yeah.
Just be you, boo.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your lovely words and your vision and what your purpose is, and hopefully helping other people work out how they can find theirs. So, yeah.
One question for you then.
Oh.
Are we not doing that?
It depends what the question is.
What's your purpose in trying to find a purpose?
Ooh. What's my purpose in trying to
Find one.
For me to find one.
Part of this journey is about you finding some purpose, or is this for everyone?
For everyone, including me.
Okay. What do you hope to find in purpose?
A bit of peace, I think, in myself. I think I thought I knew what my purpose is, and maybe I do know what my purpose is, but I feel like nothing much has come from my purpose, which is what you said about you try and do that and then it doesn't maybe go the way that you hope for, and then you're like, oh my god. So I feel like I'm a bit in that realm of like, okay, I've tried really hard and things haven't necessarily gone the way that I envisioned, or should I just stop? Is there something else for me to do? So I think I want to talk to other people about their journey, just to see where we all sit with it and what that means, because I think it can feel like a bit of a lonely road sometimes when you're on like a 10 mile per, or maybe 1,000 mile per hour mission to get to this destination you've put in your head because that's your sole purpose. And you said to me, but it's the journey along the way as well. And I was like, oh yeah, like I know that, but because I get something so in my head, then it wasn't fun anymore. But I think I envisioned my purpose to be fun, but I haven't been having fun. So I think I just want to talk to other people, because I know everyone online, there's going to be loads of people that are thinking, oh, what am I doing? Oh, that person's doing the thing that I want to do and I'm not doing it. And we all look at each other, and actually we're all on our own journeys and we're here to support each other, really. And you can learn off other people. It's not you're in competition. So I think I just wanted to see what people say and see if it just bit of research.
Bit of research.
Bit of research, I think.
I love the fact that at the start of that you said you wanted to find. I loved all of it, but I thought at the start you said you want to find purpose to find peace. And actually, I feel like maybe what I was saying about stopping, having some fun, removing the pressure of purpose is ironically the peace that you're maybe seeking in purpose. And so potentially you'll find your answer without, like, do we need to have a purpose? I don't know why we're here. I don't know what we're doing. Maybe we don't need a purpose at all, and that's part of the beauty of it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's, I don't know, is it society that, you know, you go to school, you do the things that you love, you pick your options, they're the things that you love that you want to do, and then from them options, okay, and GCSEs, then you go to college, and okay, so I did art because that's what I liked in my options, and then went to uni and I did art, and then I was like, okay, but now I don't think I want to do art, so then I did something else, and then I did something else, and then, I don't know, you're like sent on this pathway to try and find what it is you want to do, when maybe it's all done the wrong way.
Well, we know from the start there were two things. You wanted to be in a tribe and you wanted to be in MI6. So why you stop trying? There you go.
Well, yeah.
Purposes can change.
Yeah. Thanks. I was going to choose you there.
Cheers. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.